Tonight, the race to find a missing teenager swept out to sea off Victoria's southwest coast. Melbourne mourning the loss of legendary furniture salesman Franco Cozzo. Police call a Christmas truce in their bitter pay fight with the government. Star demon Clayton Oliver taking an indefinite break from football, the latest live. How a Melbourne terrorist spent his first day of freedom. The court decision that clears Airbnb customers to claim compensation. And later, Brighton's F1 ace Oscar Piastri back home on a mission to save Melbourne lives.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Rebecca Maddern.
Good evening. A heartbreaking search is underway to find a 14-year-old boy missing in the water off Victoria's southwest coast. He and a friend were swept off rocks near Portland, but so far only one of the teens has made it to shore alive.
It's nearing 24 hours since 14-year-old Lachlan Humphreys and his friend were swept off rocks by a rogue wave. His 15-year-old mate managed to scramble to shore but could only watch as Lachlan was dragged deeper into the water.
As we understand it, the 15-year-old lost sight of his friend in the ocean, drifting out to sea. My understanding is he managed to get out of the water, turned around and then could see his friend still in the water.
The friends were exploring rock pools off Cape Bridgewater near Portland. The older teen suffered minor injuries and called 000. The police air wing was dispatched, along with a boat, jet skis and divers.
I do know that the area is frequented. Ocean conditions vary from day to day. Sometimes it may be safer than others. Unfortunately, last night it appears that this event it was not safe.
Dozens of police and volunteers are searching an area 10 kilometres along the coast and 3 kilometres out to sea.
We very clearly haven't given up hope. We're hoping to find the boy alive. Obviously, the more time that goes by, realistically, we're becoming more concerned. But at this point in time, we're treating this as a search and rescue operation.
Just last Saturday, Lachlan, a keen sportsman and fisherman, was celebrating his 14th birthday with family and friends. His distressed family is maintaining a vigil at the command post for the search effort.
Obviously, it's a really difficult time for them. Our sympathies go out to them, and we're giving them all the support that we possibly can.
And Cameron Bowe is at Cape Bridgewater tonight. Cam, authorities have just 2 hours to find the teen tonight.
Beck, they'll continue to search until last light, giving themselves every chance to find Lachlan. The conditions have been challenging with a rising swell and also strong offshore winds. The 14-year-old was wearing a wetsuit, but the water temperature is also a factor, Beck.
Cameron Bowe reporting live. Thank you. In breaking news, legendary Melbourne salesman Franco Cozzo has died at the age of 87. His family confirmed the sad news a short time ago, revealing Mr Cozzo passed away with his wife by his side. Footscray's furniture king arrived from Italy in the 1950s, rising to become a household name with his colourful commercials.
Franco Cozzo è sempre welcome.
Mr Cozzo's family has asked for privacy during this difficult time. Police are calling a Christmas truce with the state government as their bitter pay standoff finally shows signs of ending. The union is promising to stop industrial action for now after weeks of disruptions. We'll get that story for you in a moment. Troubled demon Clayton Oliver is taking an indefinite break from football. Chief AFL reporter Mitch Cleary has the details. Mitch, it all came to a head on Melbourne's pre-season camp in Lorne.
And Beck, tonight there's no definitive timeline on Oliver's return to the club. With growing concern, he'll miss the start of the 2024 AFL season. Now, Oliver returned home to Melbourne on night one of the Demons' 4-day training camp on the Great Ocean Road with what the club has described as a personal medical challenge. The Demons continue to work closely with Oliver and his support network, pouring in additional resources to assist with his welfare. Off-season recruit Jack Billings left to front the cameras today on his new teammate situation.
He's been great and just working through some things obviously, so the club have been unbelievable with their support to him and everyone's behind him.
It's been a tumultuous few months for one of the AFL's best players. He was raised as a potential trade option in September. He then suffered a seizure in October, which landed him in hospital. He was caught behind the wheel in November on a licence which had been suspended on medical grounds, as well as an off-season knee surgery. It means he's extremely unlikely to be seen at the start of the season next year. Beck?
OK, Mitch Cleary, thank you. Convicted terrorist Abdul Nasser Benbrika has spent his first day of freedom holed up in his family's Melbourne North home. Benbrika was lying low as a political blame game raged over his release.
Abdul Nasser Benbrika back at home with his wife and 4 of his adult children in Melbourne's north.
Hi, is Mr Benbrika home?
But neither he nor his sons were keen to answer questions.
Just how he's settling in.
We don't want to have an interview, thank you.
The 63-year-old, convicted of plotting to kill Australians, stayed indoors all day, calling police to make sure the media was kept at a distance as politicians squabbled about his release.
We have had a disastrous response when it comes to community safety and keeping Australians safe from terrorists.
The opposition continues to play politics with community safety. That has to stop.
Benbrika's 18 years behind bars ended yesterday. A court told his risk of reoffending is low.
Yesterday, the Victorian Supreme Court imposed an extended supervision order, the order that I asked for, which included 30 stringent conditions.
Benbrika is banned from changing his address without approval from federal police. He must also abide by a curfew between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. He must not go within a kilometre of an airport. He can't volunteer or work or form any group online without written approval. He must also continue with de-radicalisation programs paid for by the government. A jury convicted him of directing a homegrown terror cell that was preparing for an attack on Australian soil. Emma O'Sullivan, 7 News.
Local health services could soon be merged across the state in an attempt to streamline Victoria's public hospital system. The shake-up would mean surgery wait lists are shared across regions, but there are concerns the changes would force patients to travel further.
There's a consultation happening at the moment on strategies or reforms that may be implemented.
Victoria has 76 health services. New South Wales has just 15. Airbnb has been fined $15 million for tricking thousands of Australian customers into paying higher prices. The online accommodation platform could now be forced to fork out millions in compensation.
For 3.5 years, booking through Airbnb came with an expensive lesson in reading the fine print.
And I don't have to worry, only worry is him.
Between January 2018 and August 2021, the accommodation giant didn't clearly disclose its prices weren't in Australian but US dollars. The difference costing 63,000 Aussies, an estimated $16.8 million.
When Australian consumers go on an Australian website to book Australian accommodation, it is reasonable that when they see a dollar symbol that they read it and understand it to be Australian dollars.
A federal court justice found Airbnb's conduct was misleading and deceptive, and that it further deceived consumers who complained, telling them they had selected the currency. Airbnb Ireland, which runs the Australian site, has been ordered to pay a $15 million fine. They'll also be up for $15 million in compensation. Advocates say it's a lesson in consumer rights.
Those rights come with severe penalties and also compensation orders. And so this is a really good day to stand up for Australian consumers.
Airbnb says the issue with currency displays was rectified promptly and that only a small percentage of Australian guests are believed to have been impacted, apologising to those guests. Affected customers will be compensated for the price difference and transaction fees, averaging $230 per booking. The ACCC now warning customers of potential scams. Sarah Jane Bell, 7 News.
Returning to that earlier story now, and police are calling a Christmas truce with the state government as their bitter pay standoff finally shows signs of ending. The union is promising to stop industrial action for now after weeks of disruptions.
Their call for a 4% pay rise and a better roster has been seen and heard.
You're going to have to let me talk.
Loud and clear.
Also, too, over on the M80 part of the project.
Now the slate has quite literally been wiped clean.
This is not a final agreement. This is a pause in industrial action that allows the parties to do the important work that needs to be done.
The truce came after the state government and Victoria Police agreed to consider 9-hour workdays, giving police half an hour to kit up and hand over on either side of their shifts, along with a 1.75% pay rise, but they'll continue to negotiate for 4.
That's a pay increase that will be applied to members, and it's backdated to the 1st of December this year. That's when their agreement ended.
Prior to the industrial action, negotiations had lasted just 7 minutes. But after weeks of disrupting the peace, today
it went for several hours, I would say.
Asked if the state government was regretful that the police force had to fight for a fair negotiation.
I think we've had a great outcome, and I thank Victoria Police and the Police Association for the agreement that has been reached.
The pause will last for 5 months. If an agreement can't be signed off in that time, the Police Association says it won't hesitate to restart industrial action.
We desperately hope that it doesn't have to. That's never been our sole objective. Our sole objective is to get an agreement, to settle these matters, move on with policing.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
The clean-up and rebuild are underway in far north Queensland's flood disaster zone, with locals stacking ruined belongings outside their homes. Heavy machinery has also begun the task of rebuilding roads to access communities cut off.
People are getting very toey about food and fuel, because there's only a few little tiny stores there and they're running out of supplies.
White House. A court in Colorado has ruled he's ineligible to run for president because of his role in the January 6 riots.
Taking centre stage at a campaign rally just hours after a court disqualified the former president from the 2024 race in one US state.
They're willing to violate the US Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election.
Hinting at the historic order that removes him from Colorado's primary ballot after the state's Supreme Court determined he engaged in insurrection leading up to the January 6 storming of the Capitol. We do not reach these conclusions lightly. We are likewise mindful of our solemn duty to apply the law without fear or favour. Today's order will only apply to Colorado and its primary, a process where political parties in the state select candidates for the general election. And Donald Trump doesn't need Colorado to win. However, the ruling is on hold, with the Republican frontrunner's legal team appealing to the US Supreme Court.
Once he convinces the Supreme Court to take it, I do think we have a good shot on the substance.
It has the final say on all constitutional matters, and if Trump loses, it could decide his eligibility in all 50 states. Miley Hogan, 7 News.
New Zealand's new Prime Minister has arrived down under, eager to cooperate under an expanded agreement with Australia, the US and UK.
New Zealand's a small country and it underspends on defence. So I'm not really convinced that New Zealand will be able to offer much.
New Zealand is committed to doing our share of the heavy lifting in the alliance.
But Christopher Luxon says New Zealand wants to remain nuclear-free. A main part of the agreement is nuclear-powered submarines. Australia's biggest telcos are scrambling to secure their networks in the wake of the Optus meltdown. They're getting ahead of government scrutiny that's expected to bring tough new rules for the industry.
It's a first-time look inside Telstra's mission control.
So welcome to our window
to the world.
The communications hub that keeps the nation's communications humming. 150 staff watching for every outage and issue on phone networks, satellites, streaming services, undersea cables.
Regardless of what the cause of the impact is, our job here, respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But this video is their video, their interviews, sent to media just as multiple official inquiries into Optus are circling.
Please don't push me.
The catastrophic systems failure on November 8 has already claimed the CEO's job, but government, Senate and industry reviews could bring tough new laws and oversight for all telcos.
We need to ensure that nothing like that ever happens again.
The opposition saying the government also has questions to answer.
The network failed. Hundreds of Australians called 000 and got no answer.
With Telstra insisting centres like this already prove they are ready for the worst.
I think it's about how we prepare so that if something does happen, that we're in the best place to respond.
The government's report is due in February. Chris Reason, 7 News.
Melbourne doctors are calling for action on e-scooters after a spate of accidents involving riders who are often either drunk or not wearing helmets.
We need to build that safety culture around scooter use, and that might be about things like not having scooters sitting outside nightclubs waiting for people to make a poor decision when they walk out.
Last year, 247 e-scooter riders were treated in Melbourne emergency wards. A third had been drinking alcohol and 2/3 had no helmet. Melbourne's major shopping centres are extending hours as the Christmas rush heats up. Beth and Yeoman has the latest from Chadstone. Hello to you, Beth. The countdown is well and truly on.
It certainly is, Beck, and it's going to be a very busy few days. Chadstone is expecting more than 500,000 people through its doors this week. Almost a third of people say they'll be at the shops not because they're disorganised, because they don't know what to buy.
You can't go past the Chadstone gift card. Plenty to choose from, and people love being able to select their own gift and come back at a time that suits them.
Chadstone is open until 9 tonight. From tomorrow, the hours extend even further. Shops will trade from 8 a.m. until midnight every day until Sunday, and then 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Hours have also been extended at Westfield centres, opening earlier and closing later each night. That covers Melbourne's east and southeast. High Point in the city's west has the longest single day of trading hours across Melbourne. It's open from 9 a.m. on Saturday until 2 a.m. on Sunday. Plenty of time to get those last-minute Christmas presents back.
See you there. Thank you very much, Beth. Well, rock legend Jimmy Barnes will be home for Christmas after emergency open heart surgery. His wife Jane posted a smiling photo of Jimmy on social media, revealing doctors are allowing him to leave Sydney St Vincent's Hospital on Friday. That's good news. Well, Tim Watson's here with a look ahead to sport. Tim, there's relief from Premiership Magpie.
Beck, his career was on the verge of being cut short. Details coming up. Also, 2 Geelong champions square off in a battle for bragging rights. A record-breaking bidding war erupts for 2 Aussie cricket stars, and Beck will tell you the latest Aussie to rub shoulders with NBA royalty. I'll see you again soon.
Great. Thank you very much, Tim. Well, a school camp tragedy has sparked a Bentley family's 4-year fight for justice. Details next on 7 News. Also ahead, a wild ride comes to a crashing end in Melbourne's southeast. Residents forced to flee nature's fire-breathing fury. Later, Melbourne scientists toasting a breast cancer breakthrough.
And why the Bureau says have a plan B for Christmas Day. The full forecast is coming up.
A driver's miraculously escaped a high-speed crash without any serious injuries. The car lost control on the South Gippsland Highway in Dandenong South, mounting the curb and taking out a traffic light and signs. It happened on Monday morning around 6:30. The coroner has delivered heartbreaking news to a Melbourne family, ruling the death of their son on a school camp was preventable. The diabetic teenager's mother says it should serve as a lesson for schools everywhere.
When 16-year-old Lachlan Cook jetted off on a school trip to Vietnam, his family never considered he might never come home.
Today we learned that the death of our son and Izzy's brother was preventable. To say this is heartbreaking, defines the pain that this news causes.
The inquest was told no supervising adults had training about how to manage diabetes when the 16-year-old fell ill. The coroner ruled trip organiser World Challenge Exhibitions and Kilvington Grammar both fell short. Lachlan boarded the flight on September 14. A fortnight in, he told organisers he was feeling unwell. The following day, he quickly deteriorated and his heart stopped beating. He spent 5 days in a coma before he was flown home. He was pronounced brain dead at Royal Children's Hospital.
All families should have the confidence that when their children participate, they will return back home.
The family's fight for justice isn't over just yet. They've launched civil action in the Supreme Court seeking damages from the school and World Challenge.
WorkSafe is also investigating. Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
The Albanese government is being criticised for refusing to send a Navy ship to the Red Sea. The US has requested Australia's help as Houthi rebels attack container ships and oil tankers.
The US understands the best way for Australia to support this is through diplomatic support.
Well, I've got news for the Prime Minister. Press releases don't shoot down drones, warships do.
There are concerns further attacks on oil tankers could send global fuel prices higher. The new year looks set to bring more unwanted headlines for the royal family. A judge has ruled evidence against Prince Andrew can be unsealed any time from January 1. It relates to accusations made by Joanna Sjoberg, who alleges the royal groped her at Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion. The evidence formed part of a now settled civil case against Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Iceland's feared volcano is erupting after weeks of earthquakes, creating a spectacular mix of fire and ice. A nearby village was evacuated as the lava flow is proving unpredictable.
Dancing in the night sky. Fountains of lava, equal parts mesmerising and formidable. From above, southwestern Iceland paints a harsh contrast, a front line of fire and ice stretching 4 kilometres and growing.
It's just fascinating to see just nature in action. It's just like something from a movie.
The small fishing village of Grindavik knew this moment was coming. They just didn't know when. With thousands of earthquakes registered since October, locals had already evacuated before this. 10:17 p.m, a flash on the horizon, the first sign the Earth's surface had finally cracked. Molten rock spilling over.
That's kind of a bittersweet feeling at the moment.
Iceland's famous Blue Lagoon only reopened over the weekend. Now tourist plans are on hold, so too flights. A monster ash cloud shut down airspace in Europe in 2010, and Iceland's once again bracing for a Christmas disrupted by nature's awe-inspiring fury. In London, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
$90 million is up for grabs in next week's Oz Lotto after last night's prize jackpotted. It will be the second biggest Oz Lotto prize on offer in the game's 30-year history. 1 in 3 Australians are expected to try their luck in the Boxing Day draw. The $90 million draw closes at 8:30 on Christmas night. A Melbourne mayor is on a crusade for change after a toddler was killed in a road tragedy that she says should have been prevented. Also ahead on 7 News, the porch pirate accused of stealing Christmas in Melbourne's northwest. Australia Post in the firing line for losing a grieving family's ashes. And homegrown F1 star Oscar Piastri on a mission to keep Melbourne safe. Police are hunting 2 parcel thieves caught on camera stealing Christmas presents in Melbourne's northwest. A driver waited in the blue Kia Sportage while the passenger allegedly pinched a package from the front doorstep. It contained $200 worth of Christmas presents. The hillside homeowners are calling for anyone who recognises the thief to report him to police. The state government has been accused of ignoring safety warnings about a notorious stretch of road that's claimed the life of a 2-year-old boy. Locals say it's a death trap and their pleas for help have fallen on deaf ears.
Dicing with death on a notorious stretch of road that's claimed 13 lives in the past decade.
This area is a death trap just waiting to happen.
On Sunday, Stud Road in North Dandenong claimed another life, this time a 2-year-old boy. Locals have been calling for safety upgrades here for years.
The community is absolutely screaming for this to happen immediately.
The 850-metre section of road between the Monash Freeway and Heatherton Road has no safe pedestrian crossing, despite 2 bus zones and an 80-kilometre speed limit.
You have a basketball stadium here that 20,000 people use every week. You have a residential area on the other side, bus stops, the wetlands and a park that people just do not have access to cross the road.
The Mayor says traffic lights and a pedestrian crossing near McPhee's Road is urgently needed to help prevent another tragedy. Roads Minister Melissa Horne declined an interview today, instead issuing a written statement. In it, she wouldn't commit to safety upgrades on this stretch of road.
We are just urging the state government to understand the severity of this situation and that we need the crossing immediately.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 News.
A grieving Australian woman has finally been reunited with her father's ashes after they were lost in the mail for more than 4 months. Now they can finally farewell the 84-year-old killed in the Hawaii wildfires.
Alfred Rawlings' ashes are finally home.
Morning, Dad.
After 19 agonising weeks, his family can finally start grieving his death. The 84-year-old grandfather's Maui home was one of the first to be wiped out in the Hawaii wildfires in August. But his daughter Shirley McPherson was forced to wait 7 weeks for a call from the FBI to confirm her father had been killed.
I didn't know whether my dad was alive or dead, so that was horrendous.
And the family's heartache wasn't over yet. After a gruelling DNA identification process, the grandfather's remains were finally put on a plane on their way home to Australia, but they went missing for 8 days.
If his ashes don't turn up, then, I've still got my dad's memories and stuff, but it was an extremely hard week.
Preparing for the first Christmas without her dad, Shirley McPherson says his death was avoidable. She's joining a class action against the power company whose infrastructure sparked the deadly fires. Alfred's family can now finally plan a memorial to honour his life. Some of the grandfather's ashes will be scattered in waters off the South Australian coast. His love of the ocean is what attracted him to Maui in the first place.
I'm trying to keep strong to have Christmas, but it's still going to be hard.
Hannah Ford, 7 News.
Taking a look at finance now, the ASX 200 has closed up another 49 points, continuing a strong pre-Christmas rally. Mining stocks were the big winners, along with building products company James Hardie. $1 Australian is currently buying 67.69 US cents. A new addition to the Qantas fleet has touched down in Australia. The airline's first Airbus A220 flew from the factory in Canada via Hawaii and Fiji, touching down in Sydney this afternoon. The A220 will eventually replace Qantas Boeing 717s and will appear first on the Melbourne to Canberra route. Aussie F1 ace Oscar Piastri has returned home to Melbourne with a road safety message. He launched a campaign to stop distracted drivers surrounded by an army of fans.
Hello. Picture with my son. Thank you so much, mate.
This is how Oscar Piastri's life has changed.
Thanks so much. Yeah, no worries.
Mobbed even at an unannounced launch.
The fans and stuff, that's definitely another level in F1 and something I had to get used to through the year.
Sebastian, how are you, Sebastian?
Disguises now his holiday wear.
I've bought a few caps and some sunnies.
After the tragic nationwide road toll rise, he's campaigning against driver distraction with a high-tech car phone cradle.
To keep people concentrated, getting your hands off your phone and keeping them on the wheel, and hopefully it can improve safety on the road.
The 22-year-old won the F1 Rookie of the Year after a sprint victory in Qatar.
His first win in Formula One for Oscar
and 2 podium finishes in main races. The best rookie year since Lewis Hamilton's.
Already had some results that I never would have dreamed of, and hopefully we can start next year strong and get some more of those.
Particularly at home.
Of course, if there's one race where I could have a good weekend, Melbourne is the one. I've never signed on a phone before, but there you go.
He prides himself on his calm, good guy demeanour, but beneath it, a hint of ruthless ambition.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
I'd probably be like a lion or something.
Okay.
Top of your chain.
Thank you.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
A Docklands nightclub owner is suing the city for sinking his business dreams. Details next on 7 News. Also ahead, Melbourne scientists toasting a breast cancer breakthrough. A heartbreaking health update for a music icon. Bitter news for Sweet Tooths with a family favourite off the shelves. And a sly visitor gate crashes the MCG. Doncaster Shopping Centre in Melbourne's east is the country's worst location for car park crashes for the 2nd year in a row. The Christmas shopping rush also means December is the worst time of year for a prang, with 22% more crashes now than any other month. Most claims are for accident damage to an insured driver's car while parked. The new data from Amy also reveals women are more likely to be involved in a crash. The boss of a controversial Docklands nightclub is suing the City of Melbourne after its licence was scrapped. The council claims the venue ignored repeated noise warnings, an accusation the owner denies.
It was billed as an attraction to bring thousands of people to Docklands. Yay! But a year later, a Tet nightclub sits abandoned on the North Wharf. Its owner now suing the council for $9 million after its licence was revoked following a record number of noise complaints.
Unfortunately, the City of Melbourne have ignored all our attempts to try and resolve the issues and save our business, so we feel we have no other option.
The lawsuit alleges the council misled the business into accepting untenable trading conditions. Tet says it did everything it was asked, even offering to enclose the venue in acoustic glass.
We'd stand to lose, our family home, everything. My mum and dad would be bankrupt at retirement age, so yeah, it's all on the line for us.
The club lasted less than a year, partially destroyed in a suspicious fire in January, before the City of Melbourne shut it down in June.
That's ridiculous. Bars are supposed to make noise. It's fun. If you're a resident living right on top of it, I can understand the complaints.
The original proposal had the floating nightclub based here, an additional 250 metres away from apartments. Mr Hughes says Tet was forced to open further down the wharf because proper moorings weren't available. He's open to moving the barge, saying he just wants his licence back. Beth Yeoman, 7 News.
Celine Dion's sister has provided a devastating update on the singer's health as she battles stiff person syndrome. According to Claudette Dion, Celine has lost control of her muscles as the debilitating condition worsens. Dion announced her diagnosis last year but was seen in public just weeks ago at a Las Vegas ice hockey game. Melbourne scientists have discovered a new way to detect breast cancer, making the process faster, cheaper and more accurate. The technology changes the colour of cancer cells so they can be easily seen under a microscope.
A tiny slide with huge potential to change the way cancer's diagnosed around the world.
We see this as really having a global impact.
It's called a Nano-M slide, invented by a team from La Trobe University and the Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre.
It looks like a conventional microscope slide, but what it represents is an entirely new approach to visualising cells and tissues under the microscope.
The difference is all in a high-tech film that coats the slide, making the cancer cells change colour.
These greenish bluish circles, that's the actual inside of a cancer cell. And what's unique about this slide is that it's only in cancer cells that we see this colour.
The Nano-M slide uses millions of tiny optical sensors which are embedded across its surface.
The result, a faster, cheaper and more accurate diagnosis.
We can take a tissue from a cancer patient, simply put it on the slide and look under the microscope and distinguish cancer cells from normal tissues.
While it's been developed specifically for breast cancer, researchers say the possibilities are endless.
This slide could have a really major impact on other cancers as well.
The team has just launched their own company, Alisense, in order to expand clinical testing. They'll be manufacturing these slides right here in Melbourne with the goal to roll them out around the world.
Australia has an amazing history of medical innovations that go around the world and change people's lives everywhere. I'm confident that this will be one of them.
Christy Cooper, 7 News.
Allen's Jaffas are being pulled from the shelves at Woolworths. The supermarket giant says it sometimes replaces products and needs to stock items with the broadest customer appeal. But you can still pick up a packet at Coles or Big W. A sly fox has been spotted on the run inside the MCG. The animal wandered around the ground level seats, weaving between rows. It was filmed yesterday morning in a very empty stadium. We're reliably told the fox will be well clear by Boxing Day. Let's hope so. Tim Watson is back with Sport Now. Tim, a Magpies premiership star, has been given the green light to play on.
That's right, Beck. His career was almost cut short, but he's playing on next year. Details are next. Also, a Demon star gets a guard of honour to mark a special milestone as teammates hit the water for team bonding. A new top cat signs on, but he's hit back at skipper Patrick Dangerfield. A freshen up for a World Cup star while bidding goes bonkers for 2 Aussies in the IPL, and an NBA star makes an incredible comeback. Welcome back. Clayton Oliver's pre-season has hit another hurdle after returning home from the team camp to deal with his personal challenges. In Oliver's absence, a Saint turned Demon says he's finally injury-free and has a point to prove.
Paddling upstream for months of a controversial off-season, the Demons this week swapping the city for the surf. One final getaway for team bonding before entering 2024 as the AFL's most scrutinised club.
It's funny, obviously there's been some external noise, but yeah, from the moment came through the doors, it's been great.
A change of scenery too for Jack Billings, now with one focus: how to win a spot after 10 years as a Saint.
You come to a new place and I guess, you've got to prove yourself again, and I think just with that, it brings motivation and things like that.
This day 3 of a 4-day training camp as Clayton Oliver returned to Melbourne as he deals with a personal medical challenge. The Demons hoping to have him back on track in the new year. Angus Brayshaw slowly working back to contact training. Jake Melksham running for the first time since his ACL. Some work for Stephen May's hip. Skipper Max Gawn joining teammates after missing the start of the week for the birth of his second child. Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
The AFL has cleared Collingwood Premiership defender Nathan Murphy to continue his career, but the 24-year-old and his parents have been made aware of the risks of playing on.
He's been training all pre-season. Now Nathan Murphy has received the news he's been waiting for, cleared by the AFL's concussion panel after consultations with medical experts and his family. The 24-year-old's career had come under question after suffering his 10th concussion in the grand final. The Pies getting into the Christmas spirit, preparing food hampers for Melbourne's homeless. Tom Mitchell couldn't be happier with his move from the Hawks to Collingwood a year ago.
Christmas wish, another premiership at some point would be nice. This last year has been one of my happiest years of footy, and hopefully we can keep attracting players like Schultz here to get to the club and keep growing as a club as well.
An early Christmas treat for the Cats too, a 3-year contract extension for Tom Stewart, keeping him at the Cattery until the end of 2027. Patrick Dangerfield saying he's easily the league's best defender.
He's an idiot. No, it was very, very easy. Obviously the club was keen to extend me and I was never going anywhere.
Drafted as a mature age pick, he's gone on to make the All-Australian team 5 times in 7 seasons. Despite an injury-ridden end to the season, the Cats are almost back to full fitness. Tom Stewart confident they'll be at their best before his time here is up.
Well, hopefully a few more premierships. The club sets it up every year that we're going to put ourselves out there to contend.
And Josh Dunkley is enjoying his off-season trip, a special jumper swap with NBA superstar Steph Curry. Kate Massey, 7 News.
Aussie cricket's biggest drawcard is set to return from a brief stint on the sidelines. Glenn Maxwell passed a Melbourne Stars fitness test as Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins created history with mammoth IPL paydays worth millions.
A night alone on the couch at his Sydney home, Mitchell Starc cooked himself dinner before the biggest payday in cricket history.
Sold. What a welcome back for Mitchell Starc.
A record $4.43 million to the Kolkata Knight Riders. That's $316,000 per match, more than $13,000 per delivery.
Excited to be back involved with the IPL. It's been a few years since I've been involved. A bit of a shock and a surprise, I guess.
I was in the gym trying to do a gym session while the IPL auction was on the TV. Some justification for a lot of years of hard work.
Just 20 minutes earlier, Pat Cummins had set a new record figure of $3.67 million. World Cup hero Travis Head will join him at the Sunrisers for $1.2 million. The biggest surprise, left-arm quick Spencer Johnson landing $1.7 million.
18 months prior, I didn't have a state deal or a Big Bash contract, so I was working as a landscaper, greenskeeper.
Glenn Maxwell well and truly over his forearm injury. The Melbourne Stars captain proving his fitness with a solid net and fielding session today. Haircuts, just one offering for fans at the Renegades Arcade at Marvel Stadium. Mitchell Johnson's recent outburst in the West showed some lingering unease between past and present Aussie cricketers.
I think there has been over the last couple of years. If I'm a former player and I'm getting asked to write in the media, it'll be all positive stuff about the players coming through. It'll be nothing negative.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
Isla Tomljanovic knows she's running out of time to make an impact at her home Grand Slam, a Wimbledon and US Open quarter-finalist in 2022. Tomljanovic missed this year's Australian Open with a knee injury.
The rehab was tough just because for a while there was pain and I don't have experience with knee issues, so that was a big unknown.
The Aussie has never been beyond the second round at Melbourne Park, and NBA star Ja Morant made quite the comeback with the game winner for Memphis.
Morant scores, and the timer expires. Count the basket, and Ja Morant wins it for the Grizzlies.
The point guard was suspended for 25 games after being seen on social media with a gun. He finished with 34 points in the win over New Orleans. He's a superstar. You just can't take your eyes off him when he's playing back.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Tim. Well, Sonia Marinelli is next with the weather details. Oh, Son, you're about to put a dampener on Christmas Day plans.
Potentially, Beck, potentially. Just make sure you have an indoor option for your Chrissy Day lunch. I'll have the soggy details next. Hello there. Well, the weather has done it again with a big change in the forecast. At this stage, we are now expecting rain for Christmas and quite a bit statewide. In the meantime, today, nothing but a bit of cloud and mostly blue skies. The sunshine helping the city warm to a midweek high of 20. We are still dealing with that wind chill. Right now, we have cold southerlies. They are gusting up to 50 kilometres an hour. That's dropped the feels-like temperature, so even though most of Melbourne managed to creep into the low 20s, we've shaved quite a few degrees off that in the wind, and there is an inland trough at the moment over eastern New South Wales. That is driving cloud and showers into the east of our state. There's light showers falling mostly on and south of the eastern ranges. The rest of the state is nice and dry with lots of sunshine about. Some clouds have crept into the city tonight, but we are staying nice and dry. The winds should ease as we head into the evening. We are expecting an overnight low of 14 degrees. From tomorrow, the winds tend more easterly. That's going to allow the temperature to rise. But we do have a unique weather pattern developing over Christmas. There is a deepening low that is threatening to bring storms and showers to the state on Sunday into Monday, the big day. But there is still quite a bit of uncertainty in this Christmas modelling. What we do know is it's a warm few days ahead for the city, and we're still expecting a top of 22 degrees on Christmas Day. But today's forecast shows an 80% chance of showers with up to 20 millimetres worth. So we'll just have to wait and see how that one plays out. To the forecast now in Victoria. It's partly cloudy and dry, except for some isolated showers tomorrow, mainly in the southeast and through the Otways, but it is generally warmer. We've got light to moderate south to southeasterly winds blowing through. They'll be fresh at times about the coast. Melbourne and Geelong under a mix of sun and cloud, just like today. Winds elevated again, but not as cold, so that's going to help the suburbs feel a bit warmer. Maximums reaching up to 25. And here in the city, it is a Thursday high of 24 degrees. Looking ahead, on Friday, 24 and mostly sunny. Saturday, 25 and sunny, 23 on Sunday with the potential for late showers and storms. Then 22 on Christmas Day with showers and storms. Showers continuing on Boxing Day, 24, and again on Wednesday, 23. Cross your fingers.
Everything's crossed.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Son. And that is 7 News for this Wednesday. Thank you very much for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, please take care and good night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.